Okay, yeah, confession time. I don't really watch anime as they come out. Well, at least not all of them. Sometimes I just like to see where things go, and then I'll just binge everything. Especially for One Piece. But I'm sure I'll catch up at some point. How many episodes are they on? Oh.
What the hell is this?
No, that's not happening. But shorter anime I can do it with. And one lately got me interested. A show that has guns.
Lots of guns.
Girls, desserts that I probably can't show on the channel. This is the show that we're here to talk about. Lycoris Recoil. The premise of the show is basically that a bunch of orphan teenage girls run around and shoot people and solve crimes and that sort of thing. Not really sure why they're always finding orphans for this type of thing, but I guess if it works, it works. One of the members of this organization, Takina, ends up getting fired due to the fact that she ended up going rogue in a situation. Although she did it to save a fellow teammate, the other members aren't really all that excited about it, and she's let go pretty early on. Afterwards, Takina ends up going to another part of Lycoris, or Lyco, a cafe that seems pretty normal, but it's also basically where other members can complete missions. And that's where she meets perfection. That's where she meets Chisato. While Takina is kind of cold and a little unnerving at times, Chisato is the exact opposite. Friendly, likable, and very cheery, but also able to get the job done as she's able to dodge bullets basically in, bullet time, because that's pretty much the name of it. She's a really cool character, and ultimately I found myself liking her a lot faster than I thought I would. They also work aside their boss, Mika, and oh my god, a black man in anime who's not a stereotype? Really? Awesome. I mean, the lips aren't perfect, but overall, you gotta take what you can get sometimes. I'm happy with this. They work in the cafe when they're not doing missions, making desserts, cleaning up, interacting with the other customers. It kind of feels like they're a local barkeep of kinds, except instead of alcohol, they're serving sweets. But in my opinion, that's actually a whole lot better. Takina's main goal throughout the series is basically to get back to the main branch, and while Chisato doesn't necessarily want to see her friend go, you can tell that she's always doing her best to help in some regards. It really is a great moment for their friendship. They actually became friends a lot faster than I expected. It was a nice change of pace. There's also Mizuki, a woman who works basically in security detail at the cafe. Her running joke is basically that she's always trying to get married and look for a man. Ultimately, I don't necessarily love this cliche because it just gets kind of tedious, but she had just enough screen time where it was okay. Also, her rivalry with the hacker of their group, Kurumi, actually made me laugh a bit. Kurumi goes under the alias Walnut, basically a giant squirrel chipmunk. She basically ends up as the hacker of the group, and we also learn a little bit about midway through the series that she's actually somewhat the cause for some of the problems they're going through. But she's always very helpful and loyal, and overall, she's probably one of my more favorite characters. And no, I don't know how old she is, and frankly, you probably shouldn't even be asking that. Honestly, that's where this show really shines. It's relationships. You love seeing the characters interact with each other. You can tell that everybody at this cafe cares about each other in some ways. And Chisato and Takina are mainly the reason for that. There are a lot of moments where they're laughing together, hanging out at aquariums and doing weird poses, and just learning more about each other. It makes it so that closer to the end of the series, or at least this part of the series, where things start getting serious, you actually start to care about them. You get to see that they're learning from each other and basically just becoming better friends. Their friendship is probably the best part of this show. We even get a hug from them very early on and a little bit of a twirl, which I'm gonna be 100% honest. The rest of the cast thinks this is weird, like people aren't allowed to hug or something, and I don't know. It speaks towards Chisato's playfulness and her overall opinion of, I don't care what people think of me, I'm gonna show my friends that I love. But it's not just that. The action, in my opinion, is fantastic. The animation is fluid, the art style is nice, and yes, animation and art style are two different things. Please get that right. But regardless, the movements are really nice to see, especially dodging bullets, shooting, evading, all the sorts of stuff. It's just awesome. Honestly, I would love a video game about this series, and maybe we'll get one, but just not at this moment, I guess. It makes things interesting in particular because a lot of the girls in this organization shoot and kill on command. Chisato doesn't do that. She fires non-lethal bullets and will even help the enemies up afterwards, basically helping them with their wounds and everything. And you kind of understand why later on. The music, in my opinion, is especially excellent. I love the background music. It really fits the mood, and I love the piano-style feel with it. Honestly, I can't say too much more than that. It's kind of just, you just have to go and listen to it for yourself. Even so, with all these action-filled moments, the show has a pretty unique sense of humor. It doesn't rely a lot on cliches. It just relies on the characters being ridiculous at moments. Probably some of my favorite moments are pretty much anything with Kurumi, Chisato flipping out over seeing a really nice car, and Takina realizing that the dessert she made is probably not something she should be selling, and she basically tells them that. Her reaction is probably my favorite part of the episode. Now, some of you may be wondering, is there a villain in all of this? Well, yeah, there's a few. First up, there's Robata, a robot hacker. Okay, it's just a mask he has on apparently, but basically a hacker and somewhat of a rivalry of Kurumi. I found him oddly hilarious, but at the same time, I kind of feel like later down the line he could become a good guy. Not necessarily because he's super likable or anything, but kind of because I feel bad for him in some cases because he seems to be doing a lot of this work, mainly for the other villain who's threatened to kill him a lot. Speaking of which, the other villain, Majima.
Majima-san!
He and Chisato kind of have a rivalry going back and forth, and overall, guys, I'm sorry, but I don't feel like I could really get into this guy. Don't get me wrong, he has kind of a coolish nature to him. He kind of looks like if Zoro from One Piece, Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, and Hijikata from Gintama all fused into one somehow. Hey, it could work. I don't know, he has a cool kind of nature about him, and he does feel threatening, but for some reason, I never fully took him seriously. Maybe it's because Chisato doesn't like killing people, and in some senses it kind of feels like, had she just done that, this all would have been over, but I don't know. Maybe he'll surprise me down the line. There's also an organization called Lilybell. They're basically like the Lycoris Recoil, except it's an all-boy group. And as a boy, I'm kind of ashamed. Not because we're taking a backseat to the girls, that I have no issue with that. Because Lilybell is just, well, it's just not a great name. We learned a little bit about them here and there, like Chisato said she's had run-ins with them supposedly before asking Takina if she's into boys. And we never really get an answer on that. Another group of people we don't really get that much focus on are the other Lycorises. Whatever. We don't really get a whole lot of focus on them considering Takina keeps wanting to join up with them again. Sure, you could say it's because of their pride, but at some point, I would have quit on that. Some of these girls kind of suck. There's also someone named Yoshimatsu who seems to have a very interesting relationship with Chisato, and we learn a lot about him down the line, and the plot twist is actually kind of interesting. It's still somewhat predictable with everything they've learned, but it's still a nice moment when it's finally revealed, and they actually build up to it kind of nicely. They also go into it a little bit with his relationship with Mika, that maybe they were old friends or partners or maybe lovers, which I'm gonna be honest, guys, that's kind of shocking. An anime relationship between two men who aren't related and it's not completely toxic? It's different. We also learned that he's somewhat of the reason why Chisato became a member of Lycoris when she did. Not to mention, he also has somewhat of an unpopular opinion when it comes to her not killing her enemies. Some of this stuff especially comes into play when we realize that Chisato may be keeping a secret from some other people. Not to mention just the whole Majima thing, because remember, he's straight up murdering people. At the end of an episode, he ended up killing one of the members of the group, and then they played the ending song like nothing was happening. Hey guys, we just lost a member of Lycoris, but oh, here's the ending song. Here's the cheery, happy ending song. It's a little weird. Ultimately, I'm doing my best not to spoil too much, but I guess we have to talk about the ending in some cases. Oh, not the ending where it's just the episode and everything, but apparently a lot of people hated the ending to this show. Not because anybody turned or made a character decision that was unlikable, not because anybody acted out of character or anything like that. There are actually some really sad, heartbreaking moments to this ending. But no. Apparently, the real message that people got from this, the real reason people hated the ending to this anime, was because Chisato and Takina didn't get together. I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for this. Now, here's the thing. I am not so cynical to think that these two might not maybe sort of almost have feelings for each other. You can understand in some senses that maybe there's something between them. But that's not what the show is about. And you could also argue that it's just a really strong platonic friendship or a sisterhood of some kind. But does that matter to some people? No. Apparently, when this happened, a lot of fans attacked the people working on the show on Twitter, which you should never be doing. I don't care how bad the anime is or how frustrated you are, you shouldn't be attacking people over it. This is why the person who worked on Attack on Titan is scared to come here, guys. Like, come on, be better. Ultimately, I think the ending is really good. Part of it gets kind of weird, especially the last few moments of it, but still, I find it enjoyable. Gee, it's almost like people can be friends with each other without it leading to a full-blown ship. But I've probably lost some of you at that point, but so let's just move on to the end. Like I said before, I don't generally watch shows as they come out, but if this show ever comes back, I will definitely be doing that. Lycoris Recoil is so much fun. The action's great. The moments can be heartbreaking. They can be heartwarming. The humor is really good, and it's just a cast of really, really likable characters. As someone who heard nothing about this anime, in fact, I think the anime even came out before the actual manga did, I had a lot of fun with it. And it's probably a show that I would recommend to a lot of you guys, so check it out if you haven't. Oh, and you guys knew I called Chisato earlier. I didn't say perfection or anything weird like that, right? Right? Yeah, you guys heard me right. But let me know what you guys think. Do you like this show? Do you not like this show? What more stuff would you like to see in the next coming seasons if we get there? And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all that other nonsense if you want to see more. This is Alex saying, see you next time. Also, that theme song is better than it has any right to be. I sing it a lot. Okay, now, bye. See ya.